Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. The December 31st deadline to evacuate the LBJ Housing community on St. Croix has passed, but the Housing Finance Authority is still working to relocate the remaining residents in the community. News 2's Shanika Parsons has that story.
Arlene Frederick still can't believe she'll be buying her own home.
I am ecstatic. My first home.
The LBJ housing community where she's lived for almost a decade is being torn down.
When the Housing Finance Authority received the emergency housing properties as a result of the housing merger, we commenced a plan in order to rehabilitate what we saw was a very deteriorated housing stock.
The community was originally built as emergency housing nearly 50 years ago, and they have fallen into disrepair.
It's just falling apart. It's what, about half a century old?
Last year, the tenants were given 6 months written notice they had to be out by December 31st, but they knew long before then.
Verbally, really, about 2 years. And every time we recertify, every 6 months, Ms. James would reiterate the fact that we need to seek alternative housing.
About a third of those families relocated before we sent out the letters.
Arlene is one of the 26 tenants who still live here, but most of them are in the process of moving to new housing properties or closing on their first home.
What we're really excited about is the 3 families that have opted to move towards homeownership, and our staff has been working with them to make their homeownership dreams a reality.
The people who were instrumental in helping me, I want to say thank you and God bless you. Ms. James especially have been working tirelessly trying to help us.
LBJ is the last of St. Croix's emergency housing slated for redevelopment. Initially, Housing Finance Authority came under fire from the community.
So many of them have come back and told us how they're happy, they're enjoying their current living environment. They did not realize just the deplorable state that some of those units were in and that they actually deserve better.
Arlene has made the best of a bad situation, focusing on her garden despite mounting repair problems, but soon she'll have a house to call her own.
It's going to be my yard, no horse, no dog, no nothing. Nobody could bother me. Nobody could come in my yard. I'm going to cry, but it's really time to go.
Shanika Parsons, News 2.
Now, officials expect to have the remaining families out within 60 days, and once the last tenant is gone, they'll secure the site for demolition. They have not finalized the plans as yet for redevelopment. The basketball courts at Emil Griffith Ballpark on St. Thomas and the Reinhold Rookie Jackson Recreation Complex basketball volleyball courts on St. Croix, they're being resurfaced with installation of new backboards and rims and being retrofitted with energy-efficient lights. That's the word from Sports, Parks and Recreation Commissioner Sinclair Williams. He said the ongoing work at the Emil Griffith Basketball Court is contracted to stone masonry and better roads for the basketball court renovation and additional repairs to the staff office building. Fencing and bleachers are being done by 360 Maintenance and Premier Construction. Now on St. Croix, the basketball volleyball courts renovations will begin on January 18th. Kudos to Scott Bradley, the co-founder and driving force behind the nonprofit organization My Brother's Workshop. And he won the 2014 Lewis Hine Award for service to children and youth. Governor John P. Young Jr. said Mr. Bradley is so deserving of this national recognition for his work that has provided a more positive future for nearly 200 young people through his program, which offers mentoring, counseling, paid job training, and education. The Lewis Hine Awards for service are bestowed annually to 10 relatively unknown men and women for their efforts on behalf of the health, education, and welfare of children and youth. Well, police are still actively investigating cases throughout the territory, and they're asking for the community's support in solving these crimes. Remember, if your tip leads to an arrest or the recovery of stolen property, illegal drugs, or weapons, you will receive a cash reward of up to $2,500 to be paid according to your instructions. News 2's Shanika Robinson has your latest Crimestoppers report.
On St. Croix on Tuesday, July 9th, at about 2:00 p.m., police responded to a call of shots fired in a home in Estate Glen. Upon arrival, police discovered that a mother, 27-year-old Kenya Lawrence, and her 7-year-old son, Devontae Charles, had been shot and killed. It is believed that the killer was a black male with dreadlocks and is between 5'6" and 5'11". If you saw someone fitting the description, a vehicle, or anything unusual, please speak up and help solve these tragic murders. On St. John on January 8th, police received another report that a spare tire from a Jeep was removed from the area of Coral Bay. Police continue to ask the assistance of the community because within the past few weeks, these thefts have occurred at Maho Bay, Trunk Bay, Centerline Road, and now Coral Bay. And on St. Thomas on Friday, January 3rd at about 9:05 p.m., officers responded to calls of shots fired in the Oswald Harris Court housing community. Upon arrival, they discovered a black male, later identified as 29-year-old Avery Hodge, lying in the archway of Building 20. Mr. Hodge had been shot several times and died the following day in the hospital. Detectives know there were a number of residents in and around the area when Hodge was shot. Please speak up and help the police put an end to these killings. If you have any information about these crimes or any persons involved, we urge you to call Crimestoppers USVI at 1-800-222-TIPS or submit a web tip online. Shanika Robinson, News 2.
Puerto Rico Coast Guard, police, and a Good Samaritan vessel combined efforts to rescue 2 fishermen Friday morning after their vessel with 4 fishermen on board capsized in waters north of Vega Baja, Puerto Rico in the afternoon. 2 were rescued Thursday night after swimming for hours before they were able to communicate their distress by launching multiple flares from the water. The 4 fishermen reportedly departed on a fishing trip Thursday morning. When their vessel capsized, all 4 men were reportedly wearing life jackets. The Coast Guard rescue swimmer hoisted one of the fishermen on board the helicopter, while a Good Samaritan vessel in the area was able to recover the other fishermen from the water. The Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency, VITEMA, is near completion of Phase 2 of the Tsunami Siren Installation Project, adding 14 new sirens to the Territory All Hazards Warning System. The final leg of Phase 2 began this week on St. Croix. On Thursday, a VI Water and Power Authority crew and Bronx Communication, local subcontractor for manufacturer American Signal Corp. The electric tone and voice dual power sirens are capable of providing tone audible up to 1.5 miles away. Well, there was another school shooting today, this time in Philadelphia. 2 students were shot inside a high school gym just before 3:30 in the Logan section of Philadelphia. Police say a student apparently had a handgun in the gym and it went off, hitting 2 students. It's unclear whether the gun went off accidentally or intentionally.
A discharge of a firearm inside the school. 2 students were shot, 1 male, 1 female, both in the arm, both at Einstein. I'm told they're non-life-threatening injuries. The individual that we believe fired the weapon is a student. We were able to identify that student very quickly, pull a record, get a location of a residence, sent units there. It's in South Philly, and they were able to grab him as he was either coming to his house or leaving his house. But we do have him in custody, but he did not have a firearm on him at the time.
We will keep you updated. Major changes are coming to how the U.S. government handles surveillance. The president is ordering the National Security Agency to transform the way it stores and accesses digital information collected from millions of Americans. Danielle Nottingham has the latest from the White House.
President Obama is ordering the National Security Agency to change the way it does business.
It was clear to me in observing our intelligence operations on a regular basis that changes in our technological capabilities were raising new questions about the privacy safeguards currently in place.
The NSA will still collect Americans' phone data to search for terrorist threats, but the president says the agency will now need a judge's approval to access it. And he no longer wants the NSA to store the information. He's asking the intelligence community and the Attorney General to figure out who should. Telecommunication companies have already said they don't want to store the data. The president's changes come after months of debate over how the NSA gathers intelligence and Americans' privacy. But some in the intelligence community are concerned about compromising national security.
A lot of the criticism we'll see about the changes to come will be whether or not we are inadvertently blinding ourselves and slowing our ability to ferret out networks and plots that could threaten the United States.
There could be even more changes ahead. The president is directing a yearly review of U.S. intelligence capabilities, weighing the costs and the benefits.
And keeping our eye on the economy, there's some good news for millions of people looking for work. Employers advertised more jobs in November, and more Americans quit. The Labor Department says job openings rose to 4 million, the most in 5.5 years, while the number of people quitting jumped to a 5-year high of nearly 2.5 million. This is the stock exchange. The Dow and NASDAQ up, S&P down, the Dow 41, NASDAQ 3, S&P down 7. Coming up on News 2, lots of events going on this holiday weekend. The Bordeaux Ag Fair is in store, and where you can go to commemorate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. We'll be right back. The St. Croix Educational Complex High School Science Department hosted a Science Expo, focusing on science research and project-based learning. The two-day fair displayed the students' project in all aspects of science.
This is actually a science expositions from which students' projects in all aspects of science. You know, there are actually independent studies that they do in terms of each particular different areas in science.
So my project is about meningitis. Meningitis is the inflammation of membranes that cover the spinal cord and the brain. That was inspired to do a project on meningitis because my teacher, my first period teacher, the sister died from meningitis.
My project is atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is when plaques build up in your arteries for your blood, and when your blood cannot circulate, you can have a heart attack and a stroke. And the way to prevent that is to exercise, check your health, do not smoke, and eat healthy.
Some good advice there. Well, speaking of which, local and international cuisines, a taste of everything you can imagine without leaving the island. That's what you can expect at the international dinner planned at Antilles School on January 25th at the MCM Center. The tasty items on the menu are being prepared by the teachers, faculty, parents, and students. There will also be a kids' corner, music, a gift basket, silent auction, and a 50-50 raffle. The event begins at 6 and ends at 8 p.m. Proceeds will benefit the Antilles School PTA. Again, that's January 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. You can call Charlene Williamson for more information at 228-1380. Well, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. will be remembered with a Peace March on January 20th at 2 p.m. from the Rothschild Francis Market Square to Emancipation Garden. All schools and civic organizations are invited. Also in St. Croix, a march starts at the Claudemocker School at 10 a.m. and goes to Butter Park in Frederickstead. Some high school seniors are recipients of the St. Thomas Hebrew Congregation's annual MLK Day celebration. And take a look at the names there. An event is being held this evening at the synagogue. Be sure to tune in to News 2 on Monday, January 20th at 7 p.m. and 12 a.m. We'll have highlights from that event, as well as we'll recognize the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King with a News 2 special right here on CBS TV 2. Well, it's that time again for the annual Bordeaux Rastafari Agricultural and Cultural Fair. The annual event is now in its 17th year, growing bigger every year, and we are proud to be among the sponsors. Saturday and Sunday, you have these days to participate in farm tours, food demonstrations. You can check out the vendors who are sure to display some of the freshest, healthy foods, locally made crafts, and other activities for the entire family. There's a huge lineup of entertainment and music as well, featuring a live concert. Now, all proceeds will benefit the We Grow Food, which is a nonprofit organization that develops agriculture on St. Thomas. All events start at 10 a.m. on Saturday. When was the last time you took a trip to nearby Water Island? Well, here's an incentive, a free music festival. The 9th annual Water Island Music Festival is on. It begins from 7 p.m. tonight, Saturday, and then Sunday at the Randall Family Home. You can expect excellent musicians such as pianist Julian Gargulio, who has performed at New York's Carnegie Hall, along with 8 world-class musicians, including operatic soprano Rosa Bilat, jazz singer Hilary Gardner, and the chairman of the piano faculty at Peabody Conservatory, Boris Slutsky. Now, the concerts are free, but donations are welcome. You can call 514-9995 for more information. Well, if you purchase tickets for the Bebel Gilberto on Friday, February 14th at the Reichel Center, there is a programming change. The Reichel Center will not present Bebel Gilberto's concert. This performance has been canceled and there's no replacement act for that evening. Refunds will be issued to those who have purchased tickets to the show. There will be two options: full refund of total ticket purchased amount or transfer purchase amount as tax-deductible contribution to the Reichel Center for the Arts. To request a refund for tickets, you can call the Reichel box office. That number is 340-693-1559. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.